All right, power windows for your hot rod on a budget. Okay, don't stop, don't slow down. We are done. The door locks, yeah, door openers, and now moving on to the power windows. Again, the problem with this 49 Chev 06 Cadillac CTS morphed together car is that you've pretty well got to use all of the electrical and mechanical components of the Cadillac because it's all tied together with computers. And so I would rather use different electric window rather than like buying a fancy set of power windows for your car, generic ones, or the things that, you know, the motorized ones that you put on in place of the handle on your car and call it electric windows. So let's move up to actual electric windows. Usually I use those ones up there. Those are square body Chev truck, like Suburban type windows. Those are easy. Just 2 wires in, flip them over, goes up, goes down. This one's different. The Cadillac is different. It has a power wire in, and then it has a down control and an up control, and obviously a ground. So it's got more wires. So you can't just use that one. If I could, I would just use that one instead of the Cadillac one. No, we're going to just keep it all the same because that's just what the computer wants. The original electric power window idea was basically a motor on this big gear instead of the hand crank, right? And then it would have this set of slides, the window and the bottom of the window channel, and then a lower channel. And the trick to mounting these, and I've used these a few times in different projects, the trick to mounting them is getting these channels aligned so that the window goes up and down smoothly and nicely. And in modern times, you'll end up with something more like this, a motor mounted here with a cable and a track. This track is curved because the window goes up curved, so many vehicles do. And it's got a nice solid thing here that runs on the track with plastic inserts for it to slide on. And then the glass goes in here, just these 2 clamps. Yeah, up and down, real simple. And a big benefit of these is that if your power window fails in your vehicle, you just take the inner door panel off, unscrew this thing and put a new one in. Pretty easy, pretty classy. But when it comes to the Cadillac, I cut these out of the doors, inside of the doors, right? The inside door skin, before I took the rest of the car to the scrapyard. So what I'm going to do is I'll unscrew these and get this apparatus free from it. Now what you've got here is 2 tracks that run in parallel, and these are the same thing. They run in a curve because the window's curved, and a cable system that goes through both tracks and pulleys. Yeah, it's a lot of paraphernalia. So we're going to unscrew this, take these 2 tracks, and we've got to straighten them. We're going to use this in the 49 Chev. We've got to have these tracks straight because the glass in the 49 Chev goes straight up and down. We're going to have to drill out all of the rivets, take the whole thing apart, get the tracks free from all of the sliders and pulleys and cables. flatten those tracks out, make them run straight. So I bent this tubing with the kind of a press that I made with like it's a 40-ton hydraulic jack, and I made a little press for reformatting, recurving leaf springs. So yeah, it worked good for that. So guess engineered a curve into this 1-inch square tubing and also a piece of 3/4 tubing so that I can compress the track in here. The track will fit right over top of this tubing here. That'll keep it all nice and straight so that when I compress it or clamp it or whatever, somehow force it together, that it won't kink and warp. And then when I take it apart, hopefully this curve is the reverse of the curve that's already in there. Hopefully that means that it'll come back to straight when I release this. Yeah, we'll see how that works. Press the track in between these two until it's tight, release it, and hopefully we'll end up with a straight track. And then it also goes up on a moving towards the back, right? Because it didn't have, Cadillac didn't have a corner window like the old Chevy does. These ones have to go straight up and down, so I've got to mount these tracks and this motor inside the door. And the other challenge is that the Cadillac had big, fat, empty doors. And of course, this is made very compactly, very nice. Small little motor, but right up next to the glass. So what happens is there's no room to put this motor in the Chevy door like this. So I'm going to actually have to turn these upside down as well as inside out and every which way to get them to mount in there. So the switch will probably be up to go down and down to go up, something like that. If that's the worst that happens, we'll be doing good. Of course, you got to start the process with some very accurate measurements and, designing so that these old Chevy windows are going to go straight up and down. They're going to go up far enough, down far enough. They're not going to bind. Yeah, the Cadillac thing is going to be centered on the glass so that it's not, heavy on one side or the other. So the first thing was to put this garnish molding back in this door so that we can get proper measurements. Of course, to do that, I found a lot of these holes. Man, these things are crude, the way they put these together. Some of these holes weren't holding screws, so I had to do some welding in behind there, re-drill the holes. And once you have the garnish molding on, it becomes evident that the glass is going to be halfway between the garnish molding on this side and the door on this side. So the glass will be right centered in here. So I can take this garnish molding off and get it out of the way, because I have to take this pillar out. It goes all the way down the track. It goes all the way down to this nut. I have to move that out of the way in order to get the glass into place. And this one here doesn't have the new channel in it yet. Maybe I should take this old piece out with the stainless steel and put a temporary piece in there so that I know where I'm at. Yeah, no fooling around. Okay, power windows. A lot more complicated than the power door openers, power locks and that kind of stuff. I mean, that was difficult enough. You have to chop up the inside of the door. There really isn't enough room to work. This thing right here, it's got to come out of there, okay? Stops the window. I think if you like opened the whole door up on the inside and made the whole inside or most of the inside just one big panel that you could put back on after, that might be, well, that would be one way of doing it. But I'm hoping to just stick this power window unit in there without having to open it up too much. So in order to do that though, I'm gonna have to leave these two tracks not welded together. Normally I would want to put a cross member across the top, across the bottom, that would hold everything square. But I'm going to let the door itself hold it square so that it's easier to get in and out, because I've put it into one big rigid compound assembly. Then I would have to have a huge gaping hole on the inside of that door to put that in. So here's how it begins. This top bar here, which is the channel for the actual 49 Chev glass, I welded on 2 tabs of steel that go into the clamps from the Cadillac on the power window unit. I've actually turned those clamps upside down. But the deal is the window channel, obviously, is going to have to be perfectly aligned with the window channel in the door, right? Now those window channels in the door, of course, are perfectly parallel, straight up and down. And that's going to be the challenge. These tracks are going to have to run perfectly straight up and down as well. Otherwise, it's going to bind. I've put these 2 mounts for the tops, made them just short pieces, 4 inches long, whatever, and mounted these inside the door. Did a lot of measuring, put the glass in and measured to the glass to see how deep this had to be, right? And the front and the back tracks are both different, of course. And so I think I've got that accurately in there after measuring 20 times. So I bolted those in, a couple 1/4-inch bolts in each one. But I have to have it the right height as well to make sure that the window closes all the way, right? And doesn't hit the end of the track. So that took a fair amount of measuring as well. Now the deal is I somehow have to tack these tracks, the left one and the right one, to that mount that's already in there. Once I get the track kind of in where it goes, I'll be able to measure that a little bit more accurately and then find a place to mount the bottoms. Okay, they're a bit thicker than the top. for the forward track of the window regulator, it hits the back of this door on the inside and it won't let it come straight. So basically what we'll do is put a strong back on here and pull this out so that it only takes a little bit. If I pull it out even like an 8/3/16 of an inch or whatever, it'll allow the bottom part to come back so that it'll run parallel with these window channels. So the wires that need to go from the module to the far end of the door where the motor is for the power windows, also for the electric locks and for the electric door openers. So there's quite a swag of wires that's got to run down that way. And I'll mount this door module inside near the front of the door here so that I could see what wires need to be extended. So what is that? 6 wires, 2 heavy ones to run the power, and then 4 more that go to the module, the computers and all that stuff. So we'll lengthen those wires out, and actually I'm going to do an episode on wiring vehicles. A lot of guys talk about buying ready-made wiring harnesses. They're not really ready-made because you've got to modify them quite a bit. Sometimes I've taken wiring harnesses out of other vehicles, a donor car or whatever. Of course, this Cadillac has all of the wiring in it, and I'm using it the way it is, but some of it I've had to extend it, make it longer to reach like this door power window unit. Some of it, like the ABS brakes at the back, I had to go through the body in a new spot, so you know, cut them, put a new plug in, that kind of stuff. So anyway, coming up, there'll be an episode on wiring, the pros and cons, the do's and don'ts concerning just making your own wiring for your vehicle. Here's a puzzle. Why won't this window just like slide up and down? It seems to really be struggling, and it's still hitting something on the inside. I've got to cut a piece of steel out of here, but otherwise it should zip up and down, and it's not. Well, lo and behold, once you take it apart, you find out that the cable that runs the whole system has, well, not broken, but it's frayed, and it's all snarled up so that, yeah, it's pulling against itself. I had to order a new window regulator for the driver's side because the wire in the old one got frayed. Might have touched a welding spark or touched it with a grind, I'm not sure. Or maybe it just kind of fell apart. But it frayed, and then, of course, that's done for. So new regulator that will supply me with a new wire. And I need one of the wheels off it too because I melted one of the little green pulleys on the passenger's door side. Yeah, so we'll figure out, hopefully this is the same exact model so that the cable is the same exact length, and I can just take it out of the new one and put it in the old one, and then install that apparatus into the driver's door, and that one should be finished. assumed that the right-hand power window unit would be a mirror copy of the left-hand one. Hey, surprise. So after I've gone and drilled a mirror copy of the holes and made mirror copies of the brackets and everything and welded it all together, go to put the window in, and it just simply won't work because one of the cables is too short. The only way I can think of fixing it is to lengthen the cable, and yeah, that's not easy. Well, put a new end on these if you need to lengthen it or shorten it. I don't know. It'd be nice to have the machine that does this. There's a place in Bangkok that will make any cable, any size, any length for about $10. I've had them make clutch and brake cables and stuff for motorcycles. But Bangkok's a long ways from here. If you're on your way, let me know. I'll mail this to you. So these things are supposed to be parallel. And it is a stretch because they were leaning like this before, right, in the Cadillac. And when you straighten them up, it's going to put tension on this one, and this one's going to be too loose. But no matter how much tension you put on it, you can't get it the same height. I need to put a longer cable on here, which I have. It's the long one from the regulator on this door that I had to replace the cables on. This cable is still good. So I'll see if I can make it fit, replace the short one with this long one. So to solve the problem of not actually being able to change the length of one of these cables, you know, to press that end on there, I chose the longest cable and then cut the sheath, I think about 1.5 inches or something off, so that makes the cable the right length. Yeah, fool around long enough, you'll get it. The Chevy door had this huge apparatus to stop the window from going down too far. That's what I cut out of this hole here. But anyway, that was huge. So now all I've got is just these little steel clips on the track. That'll work a lot lighter, a lot better, and a lot easier. And one more thing, as we finish off this power window installation, I'm probably going to have to do some more adjustments once I get the final installation done after paint, which I'm really looking forward to. But yeah, they're kind of crawling at the top. Mind you, the motor's not running, the battery's not fully charged, so that'll make a difference. But one thing that is true is that these old Chevy windows are probably twice the weight of what those Cadillac windows were. But the one more thing I wanted to talk to you about is that the longer your project drags on, the older everything gets, including you. And I'm just noticing, you know, that I bought this Cadillac for $7,500 Canadian 6-7 years ago. And now I see them online, like lots of them for $2,000, $3,000. If the transmission's gone or something, less than $1,000. Also, when I bought this Cadillac, they were hard to find in the wrecking yards, and now there's several in the pick and pull yards here locally. I also see Rock Auto sent me an email. They're clearing out all of their 2005 to 2007 Cadillac CTS parts. You can get them for like about half price. I guess they figure maybe they're over. But you know, another 2 years, this car will qualify for antique or classic car plates here. It'll be 20 years old. So sometimes I feel like I'm putting this thing together with updated parts that are already old. But mind you, I'm also thinking, well, how long is it going to have to last me? Because it's true, I am getting old too. But you know, thinking of things get old, the older things get, the more slowly they age. I don't know if that's true with people, but my 29 Dodge, for example, in another 5 years, it'll be 100 years old. Well, when I bought it, I was 18 years old. That was a long time ago. And the thing had run its course. Like, there was no windows in it. It was, I mean, it ran, wooden spoke wheels, flat tires, and so it needed totally to be rebuilt. I mean, it was old. It was an antique long time before then. And now it's still going. So, you know, another year or two on that one doesn't make a whole lot of difference. So the moral of the story is, get out there and work on your project, man. I hope it's not as cold where you are as it is where I am. It's minus 12 or something today. But I've got a nice warm shop to work in, so I'm good to go. And I got to get going.